You guys aren't the only ones that participated in GMTK Jam. As every other guy who makes video games on YouTube does. So I participated in GMTK before. What it is it's one of the biggest game jam events online right now. I think it's like third currently at the moment, and it runs on itch.io, where this year like 7,000 people joined, so it's pretty big. These jams tend to have a theme, a big overarching theme that you're kind of supposed to build your game around. For the first one I participated in, the theme was linked together. So you had to create a game where characters or elements or things are linked together, drawn together, a part of each other in some way. For that one, I had your stats linked to activities you were doing. It didn't really work too well. It was cute. Then the second time I participated was with my friend. The theme was roll of the dice, where you kind of had to have some kind of dice rolling mechanic or visuals or something. That was really cool, and I quite liked that theme a lot.
You have to download this one.
So then leading up to this jam, regardless of what it was, I knew I wanted a couple of base systems before I got in, because it says you can bring in some code.
It's not cheating until the rules. It's in the rules. It's not cheating. It's not.
Has been in my mind lately that I really want to make third-person action RPG, action combat style games, and I think I just kind of want to focus on that a little bit more instead of, you know, being all over the place. It's what I usually am, at least what I feel I am. So going into it, I wanted to create a modular combat system, something that I can easily like maybe plug in animations and attacks and values and kind of just create combos for a character without, you know, really getting into a system that can't be changed or altered or whatever. So the week prior, I made this system. I used scriptable objects following this tutorial and kind of then took it a step further and created other elements, like I can play certain VFX when I attack and whatnot. I also linked it up with the movement system that I use for pretty much all my 3D games, which is Easy Character Movement 2 for Unity. So having that system with the modular combat system, they can interact now, and I don't get a lot of angry overlap or anything like that, which is great. And then I also wanted just a camera movement system, cutscene-ish thing if I ever want it. And then I also wanted a visual novel dialogue system just to tell some story or something. So I had these four systems. I put it into a Unity package so that I could bring it in later if my idea went towards it. And then I kind of just waited for the theme reveal. Me and my brother were participating in this together, although separate. I was alone. He was with a group of buddies that he has. And we were waiting on a Discord call for the theme.
What do you think it's going to be? What do you think it's going to be? What do you think it's going to be? I want it to be something about cookies, perhaps. Well, I sure hope the theme is action character combat.
So when the theme was actually fully revealed, it was roles reversed. Now, the examples they gave for that is essentially, you know, reverse what you would normally be doing or playing as or thinking. So they had like, oh, imagine Tetris, but instead of moving the block, you move the background. Instead of Pong, instead of moving the paddles in Pong, you move the ball. That's cool. When I do think of even those examples, they're not very exciting to me. They don't sound very fun. But it is a cool, very abstract theme that I can kind of get behind. So I immediately logged off of Discord and went to thinking. So when the jam starts, this one started where I'm at on Friday at 10 a.m. and it ended on Sunday at 10 a.m. And when it starts, you just have that time to go. So this was, 48 hours. So not a lot of time. It's really just 2 days. So the first kind of hour was dedicated to me thinking of stuff. I was basically just walking around my kitchen, trying to think of what to make, really. Roles reverse. You could play as an enemy. You could play as an enemy NPC. Okay. How about something you can play as like a UI, like you are a menu, maybe? You could do something like that. Roles reverse. A boulder. Rolls backwards. I basically was having a lot of trouble with this, honestly. This was a kind of weirder abstract theme than maybe I would have expected or something. And as well, I kind of pigeonholed myself a bit with this code I really wanted to bring in. Okay, so roles, as in jobs, like positions, like tasks. What if you're at a company and you and a coworker at this company, you have roles reversed on a timer. So every, blank amount of seconds, you will change the task. Okay, well, what are the kind of jobs you would maybe do at an office space? Interact with a computer, a shredder. I would just like hold down a button and something would perform. Okay. Yep. And then what's the other task? Maybe a different thing you interact with, maybe a feed stuff. Okay, so let's do a thing where you change these tasks and you role reverse and you have to do things. Maybe your boss is doing it as a team building exercise and you have to change these roles in the team and you know, that's the gameplay. Okay, I like it. So I'd have maybe multiple things to do. I'd have 3 kind of tasks to do. I just would have 2 that switch. Yeah, okay, that's yeah. So I have it set up where my one role is combat. So now I need something to fight. For that, why not just have the apocalypse start during this game? And then also, then the other task would be, you know, the actual work maybe you need to do, perhaps shred documents or send emails, delete files. When people normally delete files or shred whatever documents and stuff, it's because something bad's happening, which works with this apocalypse thing. But also, I like this thought of you have just a overhead time limit of what's going on. I'm going to have a boulder rolling towards the building and it's going to crush it. And then also the apocalypse is there. Yeah, simple. Makes sense. Easy to explain. There was this little game design I had on, out of the kitchen into the computer. I was ready to go. Initially, my thought was like, I'm going to do the art first and I'm just going to get all the art done. And then I'll move on to the scripting. But now that I actually had these systems planned out, I knew I needed basically a timer that was the boulder rolling towards, you know, where the office. So that's where the game will end. And then also I have this role reversal mechanic where it's another timer that is switching your tasks and what you can do. So if I have this combat one, you're smacking, and then role reverse happens. Now you have to quickly go delete documents. You can no longer attack at all. I can have this as well where the enemies are trying to hit you while you're putting in the documents, but you're like scrambling. Now to add to this, it's a role reversal. You have a coworker who's supposed to take over for you when you switch roles. If I have him afraid in the corner, not doing anything, but he's basically getting the weapon when the roles reverse, when he's supposed to fight, when he's supposed to shred documents, that's pretty funny, right? So then jumping right into the code, I brought in all my systems. I had it going and running good. The first thing I wanted to make was the boulder timer. So I wanted a slider on the top of the screen that has this boulder that actually is like in motion moving towards it. I found a tutorial on how to make a slider timer. I just tied it to a script that, you know, kind of overhead runs the game, checks for if it's run out or if you've maybe hit enough enemies or deleted enough emails that you get the good ending. Or if the timer just runs out, you know, you get crushed, it's the bad ending. So then with that, I set up the slider. Weird thing, I think it's tied to frame rate. So in some browsers, it just doesn't work. Like it just immediately crushes the building, but only for some people. So I don't know if it totally breaks if you try it out, try a different browser. But regardless, I had that set up. Next was the role reversal thing. Now this was another timer running alongside the boulder timer. This role reversal aspect, every minute I was going to have where you are in combat and then the minute ends and it automatically switches you to the deleting the emails. So I had that set up. Obviously, I had all the combat stuff set up. I just had to basically turn it off when I set this other timer. I had a bit at the bottom of the screen. Now, when you're deleting the emails, I wanted to have it so when you're in that mode, it doesn't automatically role reversal you to combat because I thought, well, maybe you really want to fight enemies, but they're further away and now you have to run up and you're wasting time. It'd be better just when you're ready, you run up and hit them. I made the map so small that this is entirely void and it just doesn't matter at all. So that, you know, I wasted time on that. I got those systems set up, looking good. Now we also needed my health bar, player health bar. We needed an XP bar because I wanted to bring in a little XP system. I would like vending machines around that when you kill enough enemies, you get XP points that you go to these vending machines and when you interact with them, then you get a skill or something at random. So it would be like a health upgrade, a strength upgrade. You can add an attack to your combo. I had a thing just based off the system I made where you can just add attacks based off of a invisible combo thingy in the background. Whatever. I know what's going on. You don't need to. So I then went and made this level up system. I got that going and it works. Yeah, it just works. I did it. Now with that, it gives kind of reason and a bit of something to the combat. So the combat's not just necessarily useless. So then for the deleting emails, I had to make a counter that shows how many emails you get. I put PP for the symbol for it. Pizza points. Right. So the idea is if you get enough, your boss is going to throw you a pizza party, you know, for morale. You need 50 PP points to win. So while you're in combat, you're getting levels up. So hopefully you can fight more enemies and lessen the amount of enemies on the field. And then when you switch to this, deleting the emails, you're getting the PP points, hopefully from combat. There's less enemies around to distract you while you're doing these things. This is the game loop. I had it set up and I had it working wonderfully. Enough. Geez, I condensed all that and saying it, and it seems like so little now, but when I was making it, it was so much. And it was so stressful. Like my eyes were like just shot open wide from like stress and anxiety. And it's funny now to just condense it to like, 20 minutes of talking. Wow. Game dev. So by the time all this stuff was over, I'm sure I missed aspects of things that I had to set up. I was going to do the rest the next day. So now in the timeline, it's Saturday and I have all these core systems, time to make art. Pretty much that whole day is spent making these art and characters. I made this low poly dude as a base. I initially was kind of like, I should be like making my Legendsy, and then changed some of the proportions and toned it down a bit. Did a really quick kind of UV for it, and we were able to go ahead. I had no drawings of these characters beforehand. I just kind of made what I felt was cool or would work, and I did. So I made the first character, and I kind of wanted him to be more of a I'm bored with my job kind of dude. And then I went off and made the coworker, which is just using the same aspects, like the same outfit, they work at the same place. And I just did something different with his hair. And I wanted him to be more nervous because he's not going to participate. He's going to be scared the whole time. And then I made the boss. I wanted him to just be really angry. Initially, in the early on thought, I wanted to change their expressions while they're doing stuff and then whatever. That's too much, man. I can't do that. I put them all on just the main texture for that reason. If they had expressions, I would make a face texture. So then moving on, I then needed to make the enemies. I didn't really know what enemies to make initially. So I was like, okay, well, I can just use like the same base body and stuff, and I'll just kind of change aspects and move some stuff around. I can even use the same rig. So I don't know if I want to use the player animations, I totally can. I ended up making kind of these zombie versions of the characters, which I find is funny or interesting. Although I will say, early on in pretty much everything I've done, if I need an enemy, I'll just recolor the character for these jams. So next jam, gotta make something totally different for the enemy. I had these 6 characters, which was probably too much, but regardless, they're all sharing similar elements. They weren't too bad to make. Now, moving on to the animations. I went out of my way to make these animations. Very simple idle, very simple walk, very simple run. Then I had a jump, and then I wanted to make a few attacks. And they all kind of like look kind of similar, and they're using the same amount of frames. So, you don't have like one really crazy one long attack. There's not a lot of diversity amongst the attacks. It's more or less just the movement in the upper body, really. So I made the 5 or 6 attacks initially, and then I brought them in. Then for the animations, I wanted, an idle, a walk, a run, a jump, a crouch, just to fit in with the movement system I have. And then I wanted a few attacks, because the way I have the level up for the combos is it will just grab a random attack from a list I have and put it into the combo at the end. So you can kind of just have like this really long string together, weird looking combo of a bunch of different attacks. I wanted a bunch of attack animations. I think I did maybe 5 or 6, which is potentially more than you should do for a jam like this. Realistically, it should have just been like 1 or 2. But yes, I got that together for the main character, and then I needed to get the coworker, his idle and fear thing. And then the boss, I wanted him to be yelling at you the whole time this thing is going on. So I made him very angry and So I made him very angry and just yelling, stomping his feet. So then for the enemy animations, an idle, an attack, a hit, a death, a strafe. I set up strafing in my enemy in the kind of old modular system I had for combat. So I had to bring in a strafe as well, which if you've ever animated strafing, it's weird, like walking sideways and stuff is really bizarre. Bringing in the animations, there was a little tweaking I had to do. So there's a bit of back and forth, but honestly, they worked pretty much fine. What I found weird was the enemies. Maybe it's the way I reset them up. It might have been their height or something, but they really started behaving a lot stranger than the ones I had in as placeholders, the rocks. They're like sliding and gliding, and I don't know. I then needed to create some VFX. Now, in the modular system, I also made a quick little dissolve shader because I know how to use those, and I know how to use custom data. So I made some really rough, attack animations that are cool because they have a little bit of black in the color palette of them, which always automatically makes a VFX cooler. Slap those onto the attacks. and we had the system working. I then wanted to do some presentation. Now, there's a bit of story, in a way going on with this. Like when I try to explain, I'm like, oh, there's a boulder and it's coming to destroy a business, and you are the workers, and there's a rover. So there's like a bit going on. I wanted a little intro scene, and as well, maybe have a little bit of tutorial in it. The intro scene starts. I brought in the dialogue system that I talked about earlier. So you kind of click through that initially. Your coworker tells you, hey, go, can you send an email? So you can go to that computer that has like a health bar thing on it. And hopefully the player learns to, oh, I can interact with this. This is what this is. And you have to hold it down for the bar to fully deplete. So you do that and it does it. Now I should have then had the guy say, sweet, that's awesome. But he didn't say anything. So what? This does nothing. When you're bored, you can just move on. There's a vending machine in the front and it's yellow. So hopefully it guys play a little bit. It's got some sparkles. You go through, there's a little cutscene thing and some shaking. Now in the editor, I have a sound that goes, woo, but for some reason in the build, it just doesn't play at all. It just screen shakes. I don't know. And then if you click while in that area, then the coworker says, let's go find the boss. Maybe he knows what's happening, right? I'm putting in something's happening. Now, also at this time, I give you 1 level up point. If you go to the vending machine and you click, you get your level up. So it shows, okay, this is what level up. Now, a problem is the level up counter in the corner is like barely visible. So you don't really see it. I should have had animation. I should have a little effect on it or something. So then if you walk over to the door, it will just automatically lead you through. And then it starts this kind of cutscene bit where if you click during the cutscene, it also plays the dialogue. Yeah, I didn't have autoplay for dialogue, if you can't notice. With the whole systems I was making, I didn't really have time to set that up, seemingly. So the players can click and they can kind of miss stuff. Essentially, though, the boss berates you and says like, oh my gosh, there's a boulder coming towards us. And, oh my gosh, also the apocalypse started. We gotta go. And then it just starts the game. It starts you in combat mode because, action first is always cool. I didn't stop the timer when you went into the level. So the initial combat phase is a little shorter, but that's okay. It gets into the role reversal. Then hopefully you see these computers that you interacted with at the beginning. You go, okay, at least I know I need to do something there. If you see the number go up as well, you're like, okay, that's a thing. It's a thing because your boss tells you to get 50 PP points. So hopefully you should know. I forgot to say that at the boss talky part, the intro part. So yeah. If the boulder reaches you, then it just cuts to a black screen and says, so that's the bad ending, and I have a good ending. If you get the 50 PP points, you get the pizza party. That's the thing. I wish I added a picture of pizza or a GIF of pizza. That would have been great. But regardless, it says you got the pizza. It just says thanks for playing. It's supposed to be like, hey, you won. Maybe I should have said like you got the pizza or something. And then if you click, the boss talks. The boss survived because the boulder still hits the place. Like you get a pizza party, but the boulder still impacts. And the boss says, they're dead. They're so lazy. These young workers are so lazy. They all die from a boulder. These suck. And then he says, I hope the stock doesn't go down. Where if in my original idea, the stock does in fact go down, but maybe since the boss survived, it doesn't go, down 20%, maybe 15%. And that's the game. Woo, yeah. Yep. 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 Mm-hmm. Yes. Yep. Yep. Oh yes. Oh yeah. Yep. 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 Yes. Yep. Oh yeah. Yep. 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 This was a stressful one. It was a stressful one, I had a tough time. I mentioned my brother participated. He had a really tough time, but you can play theirs. They pulled it off, and the idea is so fantastic. You play as a pot killing the hero instead of a hero destroying pots. So that's I love that so much. But regardless, finished, and reception was pretty good. People commented reviews and stuff and got good comments. People loved the art. I also quite like the art, although I wish I could have done something with the background a little bit more. It's the apocalypse, and maybe you wanted to bring in some more like Hell on Earth looks and vibes. If you have noticed by now, What I do nearly every single time is for environment dressing, I just take my props and I make them giant in the backgrounds to add this weird, like, ooh, it's like a weird world aspect to it. I should probably start getting away from that, or at least make it look better than it is. It's charming though. Some things that I think are poor about it. It's very buggy. It's, enemies are sliding and stuff. It's glitchy. Like I said, the environments could look better. And I think the animations could be more varied as well. Like a lot of them were just kind of this like kendo-y looking smacking. But yeah, all that stuff's pretty good. What I'm impressed with is I'm impressed with the art style. I'm impressed with how much I was able to do and how much I was able to pull off. One weird thing though about this all is I actually feel really bad about bringing in the code. People were like, "Hey, wow, you did all this in 40 hours. This is nuts." And I just felt guilty there. It's like I brought in stuff for this, and also like I didn't necessarily want to. I read the thing that said you can bring stuff in, but do people know that? And then it gets weird. So next time I won't be doing that. I'll be going full scratch. What is so nice about this though is it actually feels a lot like me. Finally, what I like to make, what I like to play, what I think looks cool and good. And it even has like these little cutscene dialogue bits, which is stuff that I really like injecting into my things. And I feel it can enhance what I make even more to what I want, my vision and stuff for some of these things when I first think of them. So that aspect, I'm proud of myself. Yeah, I am. I originally was going to go back and fix a lot of it and change things, update things. Honestly, I got kind of too much on my plate. I'm probably just going to leave it entirely. I mean, I might change some stuff, like I might make an updated version. But yeah, I'd just maybe close the chapter, honestly, with a really buggy game. Am I going to participate in the next year's one? Probably. And I'd like to go a little bit chiller on this one and not have as much expectations for myself, or really want to push myself as much as I did this time, because this was a lot. I was like actively, while working on it, was like, I'm loving this so much. Okay, well, thanks. I gotta go to work now. Bye.